Well, hey, and welcome back to part 4,245,210. You can see that I've painted that red. I've applied it to the side of the station house, and it looks really good. You have to bear in mind that's not finished. That's not our final product. Afterwards, we're going to highlight certain bricks, and we're going to darken some others. And then after that, we're going to weather it as well. We're going to apply Tamiya weathering powders and stuff, and we're going to make it look incredibly realistic. I'm talking little bits of rust where there's metal, little bits of moss up by the guttering. So I am really happy with that. I think that red is absolutely gorgeous, and just painting it on with a brush like that, you don't get a perfect finish. Some bricks are darker than others, but that just adds to the realism. That adds to the realism of it, if anything. It just makes it all the better. I have gone over the raised bricks because basically trying to paint around them was just impossible. It was so hard to do. So I thought, well, I'll just paint them all over. I'll paint over every brick there is, and then what I can do is I can come back, you see, and I can highlight those bricks, and then I can make them lighter again or make them darker. I should have probably used some masking tape, but I don't have any masking tape that fine. I mean, we're literally talking 2 or 3 millimeters, and it's too fine to use something like Mascol as well, which is something that you paint on and then you let it dry and you can peel it off afterwards. So I'm going to carry on around the rest of the building. I don't think what I've made is going to be enough. I'm going to have to make a little bit more, but yeah, I really like that. I think it's fantastic. And if I just show you, oops, God, I'm making a right mess. If I just show you again what I did on the European workshop, that's the colour we've made. And on the other side there, you can see the 3 colours that make it. Pretty good, eh? Pretty neat. So, I'll crack on and I'll see you again shortly. Well, hey, and welcome back. It's been about an hour later or something like that. As you can see, I've pretty much used all of the paint I had in my palette there. It's pretty much all gone, so I'm going to have to clean that in a second. And I also found applying the paint was much easier with this big flat brush. So I basically loaded that up and then just went for it with this big flat brush. It's done a great job. All I had to do was put it down whenever I got to, you know, a hard to do area where I had to switch back to the relatively precise brush. But there we go. Look, chimney stacks even. The chimney stacks too have been painted. Amazing. And you'll notice that it isn't a uniform finish all around. It's pretty, well, it's pretty patchy in places, but that's perfect. That's exactly what I want, because I'm going to weather it, and I'm going to apply different colours on top of that and make it look really, really old and really worn and weathered. And I just think that I think the end effect is incredible, and I just love that red. It's so rich. It really is fantastic. So I'm going to let it dry. I can't do anything else now until I let it dry. I need to leave it for hours to let it dry completely, and then I can come back to it and I can thin patches down, and I can start to darken some of the bricks as well and make some areas look really, really weathered. It's just brilliant. Welcome back. It's been hours now. I've had dinner, watched some films, and the model is nearly dry. The paint finish is really good actually. It might look like it's a little bit messy, but I've done that deliberately because I want to weather the building afterwards. So over on the front here, there's like a light patch just underneath the apex of the roof, and it's almost like that's where a clock used to be or something. And then we've got some darker patches underneath the windowsills, like where rainwater's maybe collected and ran down the brickwork. And then as you turn it around, you can see that there's just slight discoloration to the brickwork in various places. The bottom bit here is obviously going to be covered up with platform, but then again we've got various shades of brickwork all around here, as if it's been weathered, as if the sun has bleached some of it, and you know, the wind and rain has lashed against it for years. So it's pretty much ready to have its second coat, but it's not a second coat as such. It's basically that I'm going to go over it, and I'm going to do some darker patches, and I'm going to do some lighter patches. Plus I obviously need to do the steps, and I need to do the drain pipes. What I'm going to do next actually is the roof, because the apex of the roof up here at the top, that is, I think, a slightly different colour. But basically these are they're just standard slate tiles, I think. I will check the instructions in a second. So again, we're going to be going back to this flat brush, and I don't think I need to do any mixing this time, but I've got my little palette there just in case I do. And just like before, I'm going to be testing the colour out on our little European workshop first, and basically I should be putting some shades of grey onto that roof there to find the shade I like. So once I've done that and I'm happy, I'm going to apply it to our station house, and as I hope you can agree, slowly but surely it's really coming on, and it should be stunning once it's finished. So I won't bore you anymore, and I'll crack on. Hey, I'm back again. I think this video is about 5 days long now, isn't it, or something like that. I've basically done a couple of, well no, I've done 3 shades of grey on here. You can see from my little mixing palette here. This is number, oh gosh, what number is it now? Let me just check, I've got it on the computer. I think this is 32, which is just called dark grey, and I think this is number 79, which is blue grey. And basically I took the top of our European workshop, our ruined European workshop, and this might not look it on camcorder at this time of day, but basically one of these sections, I mean it's divided into quarters, isn't it? But obviously some sort of bomb has blown up one of the quarters, so don't worry about that. But basically I think this is number 32, so this is dark grey, this is 79, this is blue grey, and this is a mixture of both of them. So I literally did just mix the two together with this big flat brush, and I just wanted to see what it would be like. And well, to be honest, there's barely any difference. In fact, I would say you get more difference just through the natural way you paint it. I mean, you can see here, well I hope you can see, I'm not too sure if you can see or not, but you can see over here that there's some really dark patches, and then you've got light patches, and the paint has been thinned ever so slightly with the Humble Thinners stuff, but you still just get like a sort of natural thickness and lightness. Now that's actually fine. I mean, that would be really annoying if I was painting like a Mini Cooper or a souped up Ford Fiesta or something, or I don't know, a jet fighter like an F-18 Hornet. That would absolutely infuriate me. But because it is a building, it's okay. It's totally okay. In fact, it looks more realistic this way. I mean, I can add some great weathering to that with the Tamiya powders. Let me just show you those. Hang on. Yeah, here they are. Look at these. Isn't this cool? Look, this is what I'm going to move on to eventually. This is Tamiya Weathering Master. So you've got snow, soot, and rust. Plus you can get little trays like this that have got other types of weathering in, and then they basically come with these, well, it looks like an eyeshadow applicator, doesn't it? I'm not into that, I haven't tried that, but it should be very, very good for applying weathering, and that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a whole series of videos on weathering, not just buildings, but obviously locomotives and wagons and stuff like that. We're going to do powders, we're going to do paints, and we're going to do spray paints, you know, airbrushing. So there's a whole load of stuff coming up, and as for which grade to go for, I really don't know. They all look pretty much the same to me. I think what would be a great thing to do is to go over the entire roof of our station house, which is just here, to go over that with a light grey, so maybe the blue grey, number 79, this fairly light one here. If I go over it with a nice thinned down version of that, and then if I maybe later on get like a stipple brush or something similar, and I put some dark grey on some of the tiles, and then later on we can weather it, we can put bits of moss by the guttering, bird poo by the chimneys, sorry, had to be said, stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do. If I just put this to one side, and I put the weathering packs to one side, and my little palette, I'm going to put a nice blue-grey over these slate tiles on our Victorian station house. And I'll see you shortly. Hey, okay, I've just paused my music for a second so I can show you what I'm doing. I've just poured a little bit of number 27, or is it 79? No, sorry, this one. There we go, yeah. I've just poured a little bit of 79, which is blue-grey, I think, out into our mixing palette here. And it's just in this bottom one there. So now I need to add a little bit of thinners to it. And so I'm just going to open our jar of thinners here, and then open my little dropper thing, and suck some of that up, squirt it into here, and I'm going to keep that for later, basically. Put the cap back on that, because it, gosh, it doesn't have pen and ink. I'm going to be as high as a kite. Right, now I just need to add a little bit of this to our blue-grey. There we go, that should be enough. More than enough. I need another cocktail stick, just cut the end off. Oh, that one didn't fling across the room this time. There's an absolute mountain of cut off cocktail sticks all over the room. It's going to be fun tidying those up. Still, it wasn't that long ago we had M&Ms all over the room. Just wait for the appropriate episode of the Engage project for that. Okay, so I'm just giving this little petri dish a stir, making sure that the blue-grey paint mixes in with the humble thinners. It's just giving it a nice consistency, really. And what the thinners does is it delays how long it takes to dry. So it gives me more freedom to make sure that I'm happy with the paint coverage before it starts to dry and set. And as I say, if you're going to use an airbrush, then you've basically got to apply something like this to get it to the right consistency for your particular airbrush. But oh, I've got all that to look forward to. I'm a complete virgin when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I'm sure with all your expert advice you'll help me, and together we'll do a fantastic job. Right, so that's good, that's ready to go. Again, just deposit my little cocktail stick over to one side, get the flat brush, and then let's apply this. You don't need too much on. Oh, it's you know, it's such a lovely texture. And you'll notice that because of the textures of the tiles, that sometimes you have to do vertical ones as well, just to get into all those little white gaps. But don't worry about that too much, because you can come along later on with a different shade and get it just perfect. As I say, it's a building. It's got to look weathered. It's got to look realistic. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's not a car. It's not an airliner or a jet fighter. So I will carry on doing this, and I will cut back to the finished job in a second. There we go, it's done. As you can see, the roof is finished. Ugh. That's one coat. That's one coat of number 79, which is blue-grey, and I've applied it quite liberally. But in places I've gone back when the brush has been a little drier and taken some off, so that when that dries we're going to have little patches around the chimney stacks which are going to look they're going to look more weathered, they're going to look drained and lighter, and that's going to be perfect to put some more weathering on there. And that's where we come in with the bird poo and stuff like that. The only thing that's really standing out now are the steps. I'm not too sure what colour to do those. It'll probably be a grey again, but maybe something lighter. So I'll worry about that later. And then of course there's the windows. The window frames are going to need painting. The window sills are going to need painting. The guttering's going to need painting, and the actual chimney pots are going to need painting as well. But again, I can come on to that. Oh, and I've just noticed there's a little bit of wall there I need to go back and do. So I'm going to have to mix up just a tiny little bit of red and fill that little corner in there, and go in there with a precise brush, I think. A nice precision brush. But it's really coming on. So, gosh, the room smells of paint. It really does. So I need to go away again now, watch some TV, and come back in a bit. Oh yeah, and something else I just wanted to point out is that when you're cleaning your brushes, if you've been using enamel paints, then obviously you need, white spirit, methylated spirit, or thinners to clean the brushes out. But you cannot have enough kitchen roll to help you do that. And then once you have cleaned them, see, look at that, that's pretty good now. That's pretty good, that's more than okay for the next job. So yeah, once you've cleaned them and dried them and put them back to one side, you need to round up all your little bits of paper because they're going to stink the room out otherwise. You need to round them up, put them in the bin, get rid of them. Make sure you keep everywhere nice and clean and tidy, and get rid of anything that absolutely stinks. Otherwise, you'll faint from the fumes, trust me. Hey, and welcome back to part, infinity plus 2. I really have no idea now. But basically our slate roof has now dried, and as you can see there's a beautiful finish on that. It's just perfect. There are places which are darker than others, and places which are really quite light. So I'm now going to put a little bit more grey into this mixing palette, and I'm going to go back over and basically do the edges of the building, as well as darken just a few of the random tiles basically, and well, I'll show you the result shortly. Oh yeah, quickly, I just wanted to point out that again we're here with the blue-grey number 79, but I'm going to be using it neat. Just like it's whiskey or something, I'm going to be using it raw, straight from the bottle this time. I'm not going to be diluting it with any thinners. It will just be as is, because that way we can guarantee it will be just a tad darker. Right, I'm going to have to move quickly, the fumes are getting to me. See you shortly. Well hey, and welcome back again. It's another day, and the model has completely dried. As you can see, I've also been putting some masking tape on. Basically this is Tamiya masking tape, and it's to allow me to highlight the raised bricks carefully without going over the edges and ruining the whole thing. I've done as much as I can, but I can't do everything in one go because I'm basically going to have to do an end and then do another end, and then when they're completely dry I can take the tape off and then do this part and do this part and stuff like that. But the roof is fantastic. I'm very, very happy with the roof. You can see the guttering still needs some black paint on that. I am going to do it black. I was thinking about green and blue, but I think I'll just go for black. Some of the tiles still need lightening, some of them need darkening. I'm going to have to get my black paint out wherever that is. And the windowsills still need doing, the window frames still need doing, but it's really, really coming on. And then of course once all this is done, we've got to do the steps, and then we've got to weather it. But you can see just how fantastic that model is. It just pays to take your time and do it carefully, bit by bit. So I'm going to get this painted up, and then I'm going to do a review, I think, and then I'll see you shortly. Hey, and welcome back to whatever part of this video it is. I really don't know. I've just this so many times now I've totally lost track, okay? But as you can see, quite a bit of progress has happened with our station house. Ta-da! It's not finished. It's still not finished. I've been doing it for nearly 2 weeks, but it's still not finished. Although it has come on significantly, as I'm sure you will agree. And the biggest thing I need to do is to finish painting this front here, to finish tidying that up. Oh, and that one as well. But I have done an awful lot. I've done an awful lot. I've painted my red onto everywhere, as you can see. I've done the chimney stacks. I have done the chimney pots. I've yet to do the very tops of the chimneys, the chimney stacks, which is in between all the chimney pots. That's going to be fun. The steps have been given some paint. I'm going to make the steps a little bit darker, possibly. I haven't decided yet. I still need to do the window frames, I think. I don't know, it's kind of hard because they're plastic and they're shiny plastic and they haven't been painted, they haven't been primed, so the paint isn't going to adhere to them very well. I'm not too sure what to do about those. I hope you can notice that I've also gone around and I've painted the odd little random brick in a different colour, a different shade, and I've done the same with some of the tiles. I've gone around and painted some of the tiles in different shades. I've noticed that naturally we've got like some almost kind of like a weathering effect down this part here, and I'm going to definitely focus on that with the powders and paints later on when I really do weather it, because that's the kind of place that you get moss growing and stuff like that. So that should be quite good. I've painted the guttering, as you can see. That's all now. That is matte black, believe it or not. It is matte black, but it's come out with a sort of satin finish. It's quite shiny, which is fine because in real life it would be quite shiny. It obviously would predate PVC guttering, but before that they still had glossy paint, and so it would have just been glossy clay, porcelain, pottery. I'm not too sure what it was exactly what it had been made out of. I really aren't. I'm the PVC generation, but it would have been. It could have been shiny. It almost certainly would have been shiny and glossy. So that's quite authentic. I made my own red paint. In the end, I had to make loads of it. Here it is. Ta-da! Look at that. This is in a little Tamiya bottle. You can buy these from most model shops. This one is from Hobbycraft, and it was about £1 for an empty bottle, for an empty little jar like that. And I can't show you without pouring it all over the place, but trust me, there is loads of fantastic red paint in there. And I showed you how to make it. If we go back to our little ruined workshop, basically that's the original red I made, and then this one here is the remake. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close. It was obviously very, very difficult to get them to match up exactly. And one problem I did have was trying to get the paints out of these little tins, out of these little humble tins, and into something to mix them with. You could do with the world's smallest ladle to scoop the paint out with, but there isn't such a thing that I know of. So I had to use droppers, and that only worked so well, and then it ruined the dropper, so I've lost a dropper there now. But I have got tons of paint in there, and I'm really proud of that. That is a beautiful Victorian brick stone red or something. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but that is a beautiful red, perfect for brickwork. So I'm going to keep that, and I'm probably going to have to use it again, aren't I? Definitely. If not for the Your Motherway Village, but for my proper layout or something. So I'm definitely going to hold on to that red. What hints and tips can I give you? Basically, make sure you've got a tub of Swarfiga close by, because you will get paint everywhere. I have got paint over my hands, and then I've ended up getting it on the brush and my clothes, my shorts, trainers, floor, the desk, pens, mouse, keyboard, phone, you name it. I have ended up getting paint everywhere. No matter how hard I've tried, it has ended up everywhere. So that was fun. What else would I recommend? You can never have enough kitchen roll or bits of newspaper. You literally can't have enough of that. Make sure that you have got that everywhere, because the amount of times you need to just wipe a brush or clean a tool or dab up some excess, you need that. You need that to hand. You need to be able to just quickly go, grab it, and then do your stuff, and that's it. But other than that, the only other thing I can really recommend is that you take your time. Seriously, you have got to take your time. Model building, whether it's a station house like this, or a jet fighter, or a sports car, it's all about patience. I can't stress that enough. Sometimes, I have to come in and I have to do a tiny little bit, like literally paint about 4 or 5 tiles, and then go away again. it's absolutely mad, but I will come in and I will spend 20 seconds doing a bit of work, and then I have to go away for 6 hours or something. It does seem incredibly inefficient, but ultimately it's worth it, because if you try and do too much at once, you rush it, and then you end up, trust me, you end up catching a little bit of fresh paint on your hand, on the bottom of your hand there, and then you end up rubbing that on some bricks or on something else, and you end up smudging it and it just doesn't come out with the same sort of quality finish if you rush it. You have to take your time. So it really is a test of patience. I understand not everybody's going to have the patience to do this, but if you do, and you put in the time and the effort, it's actually really relaxing. It's really rewarding. It is such a great hobby. I have seriously enjoyed doing this model, and I think I've done a pretty good job of it. I mean, depending on the lighting conditions, if you hold it at a certain distance and you squint, it looks like something you could buy. I think it genuinely looks like something that you could buy. I've done a pretty good job. If you can bear in mind what it originally looked like, I'll put up a screenshot of that now. And then if we cut back to what I have done, you see what I mean? It is different, isn't it? I've definitely improved it. It has taken time, it has taken a lot of effort, a lot of patience, and even a lot of money. I mean, if you add up the cost of everything I have bought to do this, it must come to at least 40 or 50 quid, easily. And I know that may seem like a bit of a false economy, and that's going to absolutely infuriate people who are against this whole thing, the Your Model Away Village, but all of those paints and all of those tools are going to come in for everything else, so it's not really a problem. You know, I spent £1.70 on a little tin of grey. Well, I've only used literally one drop of it. One drop. But that grey is going to come in. I can use that again and again and again. I can use that for all my other models that I make in the future. It's not really an issue. It's not really a problem. If you're not into model making, if you're not planning on making any more models at all, ever, then yeah, you'd have to basically not do this, wouldn't you? You'd have to think of something else. You'd have to just either take it as they give it you, or you give it to somebody else to do, or something else, I'm not sure. But if you're not into model making, then don't do it. Don't spend all the money. But if you are, or you'd like to, or you think you could maybe sell it onto somebody else, or give it to some friends, give it to family, definitely get into it. It is really fun. I really recommend it. It's so relaxing. You know, you can put on your favourite tunes, put on some good music, and just lose yourself doing the model. Just lose yourself in your own little world, and it's so relaxing. Honestly, your heartbeat slows right down. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's just such. I mean, I would say it's good for your health because it's so relaxing, but there is the issue of all the fumes. So it probably balances out. You know, on the one hand, it's dead relaxing and improves your quality of life and the length of your life, the longevity of your life. But on the other hand, the fumes are going to pickle your brain and your liver and your organs and kill you early. So yeah, it's sort of comme ci comme ça, you know. Anyway, right. I've talked enough. I need to get some of this footage edited and encoded and get it up. Get it online. I will show you the finished product. I'm not going to show you any more for this particular episode now because I've done way too much. I will show you the absolutely finished product in a later video. I promise. I really will. So look out for that. And thank you so much for watching. I know I've bored you to death, but I hope at the same time I've given you some hints and tips and shown you how to do things as well. That was my aim anyway. And to just be sort of entertaining, sort of. So I'll get this done, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the series. Please do leave a comment. If you have any hints or tips for me, please do share them. I really enjoy reading them. I appreciate constructive criticism all the time. I really do. Contact me on Twitter if you want to. Please give the video a like and share it. Recommend it to your friends. Do whatever you want with it. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.